Alright guys, lesson 6.5, equations for lines with a given point and slope. Today we're going to talk about the point-slope form for a line. Learning targets, you should be able to give an equation for a line when given the slope and one point, any point on that line. And we're going to continue to relate lines and equations to real-world situations. So in our toolkit, we have the point-slope for a line. The point-slope format is y minus k equals m times the quantity x minus h, where m is of course the slope of the line and hk is any point on the line. It's essentially a 1 to 2 step process. Substitute your given values into the point slope form for a line. Since the slope intercept format that we talked about last time is so useful for graphing, whether you're graphing by hand or graphing on a graphing calculator, sometimes we solve this out for y in order to see or use the slope-intercept form. So we're going to take a look at an example. We're going to give the equation for the line through the point 6, -4 with a slope of 3. We write out the point-slope form. That format again is y minus k equals m times the quantity x minus h, where k is your given y coordinate, m is your given slope, and h is your given x coordinate. So we'll substitute in those known coordinates and slope. Here we come up with y minus -4 equals 3 times the quantity x minus 6. I'm just using some parentheses here for substituting purposes to make sure that none of my negatives get lost. If we simplify this down, we would see y plus 4 equals 3x minus 18. At this point in time, we technically are done, but since typically we would use the slope-intercept form for graphing purposes, whether it be by hand or on a graphing calculator, we can go ahead and do that now really easily by adding a -4 to both sides, coming up with y equals 3x minus 22. Both of these would be considered a valid answer depending on what was asked for in the original equation. Since it wasn't asked for a special format, the first would be fine. The second might be more useful to you. So let's talk about a real-world scenario. A swimming pool is going to be drained. The water level will start at 5 feet. If the water level is falling 3 inches per hour, we're going to write an equation for the water level W after h hours. We're going to use the point-slope form of the equation and substitute in the information that we have. So here we can actually use y equals mx plus b, because we have a constant rate of change here. We are draining at 3 inches per hour. And we know the starting rate, the starting point, the y-intercept, we're starting at 5 feet at time 0. So here we can take our constant rate of change as -3 inches per hour, or we can also talk about it as -0.25 feet per hour. When we talk about our starting point, we could consider that to be 5 feet or 60 inches, giving us two possible equations. One of them being -2.25h plus 5, the other being -3h plus 60 for our equation for W. At this point, I want you to think about why are there two different equations. Use some labeling to indicate why you believe there are two different equations in your notes. We'll spend some time discussing in class. We will also be completing the two following examples in class. You can feel free to give them a shot now just to gauge your understanding. We will be working through example 1 here and example 2 in class to go ahead and continue this idea of point-slope form with a given point and slope. See you next time.